Hello YouTube, Proxy here, and me and my clan, after 8 days of straight no lifer style gameplay, won our first round of Rend. This has been confirmed as a world first by the developers, which is pretty cool, well except I'll explain my disappointment in a second. This was all done on the official server World's Fall, and the victory was powered through brute force and playing the game as intended. Now, the developers didn't expect anyone to finish the game completely, and thus they had not fully tested the winning scenario. So, after we handed in our last few souls, well, this is what happened. I think this is a world first, but I could be wrong. If someone knows of a server that has done this before that's official, please let me know. But I think this is a world first. I could be wrong. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh! Is that it? Is that it? Wait, it's just a fucking message in my fucking chat bar. Oh, it gave me some Ascension points. And then it just gives you a message. There's no actually Ascension animation or anything. I feel ripped off. The bar does look brighter though. I was expecting like some Ascension sort of animation or something shiny to happen, I guess, but Ripperino. It was pretty disappointing to say the least. Hours and hours of grinding, PvE, PvP, fighting off reckonings, taking down our enemy bases, and all we got was a couple of Ascension points, which all the factions received the same amount, even the ones that lost, which came complemented with a small message in the chat box that Order, our faction, had won and the server would reset in 72 hours. This effectively meant there wasn't any point of being the winning faction other than winning itself. It was pretty anticlimactic to say the least. I was expecting at least some animation of us ascending or some mystical things, but nothing actually happened. So our clan leader contacted the community manager Scapes about the depressive victory, and he had this to say. There is a significant delta between what winning and losing factions receive. The winning faction has generated more Ascension points over the course of the saga, meaning their 100% bonus earned Ascension points doubles the payout of their efforts. The two losing factions, having not won, will not have earned as much Ascension points and will only get a 75% bonus of earned Ascension points for completing the saga. If a winning faction member earned 100 Ascension points, they get a bonus of 100 Ascension points. If a losing faction member earned 20 Ascension points, they get a bonus of 15 Ascension points. We have a make good planned out to ensure all players on World's Fall get the correct Ascension points they're owed. Players should be able to export their Ascension points right away, so we're fixing that as well. You may need to re-export Ascension points from World's Fall when the fix is deployed. In the meantime, World's Fall players can safely start new characters on other servers and continue playing. We're working to issue the missing bonus Ascension points as quickly as we can. Again, thank you for bearing with the early access state of our endgame, and our sincere congratulations on being the world first ascended players. So that's what Scapes had to say on that particular issue. Here's the full list of people that were involved in the world first official server victory for Rend. My clan, Imperium, or Legacy Gaming as it's also known, have compiled a huge amount of data in regards to this test, and we've sent it directly to the developers so they can use this information to make adjustments to the game. Rend is a great game, but currently its balance is crippled and its progression rates are skewered and twisted more than a pig's tail caught in a car door. In my own opinion, these are just a few things I believe that need to be worked on. Balance. Currently the game has extremely strong balance issues. Assassin class is almost mandatory for PvP and PvE with its current skill set. Some skill perks like Metallurgy often have obvious choices, so nearly all the players end up taking the same perks. Often no real choice is needed. Some weapons like Bow and Repeater were exceptionally strong to the point that the thought of using other weapons was undesirable, though I can see the latest patch may flip this around. Poisons are pretty much god tier in PvP early game and almost useless end game except for PvE once certain items are achieved. The game progression at tier 1 is fine, but way too fast during tier 2 and tier 3, while tier 4 and above are almost unreachable before the game actually ends. With just 100,000 spirits to collect, this can be pretty much accomplished before even touching the tier 4 tools by a dedicated team, and that shouldn't really be happening. The value of capture points is okay, but some adjustments to them to make them more desirable PvP objectives would be great. Griefers are in fact a large issue, but this should hopefully be covered with a new outcast system to some degree. But the very nature of the game's design makes it hard to prevent griefers without systems becoming too invasive. For example, the new patch now causes faction rep when you loot people from the same faction's corpses. This ends up hurting the average player more than a griefer who most likely won't care about reputation anyway thanks to personal bases. The faction base needs to be larger, some buildings need to be made smaller, as well as better storage systems would be also great. Also, more reputation tiers and more reputation based chests would go a long way. A warehouse system like we had in pre-alpha needs to be brought back in my opinion to help reduce the pointless clutter in bases. There needs to be some way to promote people getting specific types of resources for the faction as well as incentives for helping the faction in general. This is supposed to be a team game after all, so teamwork should be rewarded. And finally, personal bases are just a terrible addition to a game like this. The way the current system is designed, personal bases are just a hindrance and a waste of resources to the faction in general. Personally, I preferred Rend a lot more when personal bases did not exist. Players will often take resources out of the faction base into personal bases only for them to be looted overnight. I'm actually going to make a full video on this very subject as it's something that needs to be addressed and it really does affect the game overall. In the alphas prior to personal bases, players would often by nature would be very much pro-faction and selfless. But with the addition of personal bases, that quickly encouraged selfishness and hoarding instead. It's interesting that such a change in game could affect human nature and actions so adversely. In general, there is a lot of balance and bugs currently with Rend, but the game itself is very cool. It is an early access game, so many of these issues are kind of expected. Even the most negative reviews for this game often agree that the concept and mechanics of the game are exceptionally good, and most complaints are actually of the human nature, aka griefers and other players. And then that often redirects you back to the issues of balance and lack of tools to deal with toxic players. So I really like Rend, but after 8 days of no lifing it and a total of 317 hours of playtime, I certainly see its flaws quite clearly. I look forward to how the game will alter and change over the course of this year, and I'm hoping that the data we have given the developers will go a long way to help making Rend a game that will be in any survival gamer's Steam list. And I still recommend this game to people despite its flaws, as you can easily get $30 of enjoyment out of it even in its current state of development. Just bear in mind it is early access and not a finished product. And going back to the main subject, I'm really hoping that they pimp out the ending rewards and visuals for the game, as winning a game of Rend, considering how long it takes, should be a rewarding experience. Especially if they are planning to make single games last for months. Some breakdowns or charts are listing various stats like how much of each resource each faction gained, who lost the most spirits, etc. will be a nice fluff features for example. Perhaps even individual achievements for players like who obtained the most headshots and who got the most stone, etc. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed my little rant. I kind of felt like I needed to get this one off my chest as the disappointment was quite real. I did stream the entire ending victory, so you can check out my VOD on Twitch if you so desire. If you happen to constantly find yourself on my channel, why not just leave a like, subscribe and drop a comment below. And as always guys, thanks for watching.